An artist friend of mine has asked me to come and do a photo shoot for her tomorrow morning, and I thought it might be of interest to you guys as well. She's created a coral reef out of plastic, the very thing which is killing off sea life all over the world. She needs some very good quality photos which clearly demonstrate what the artwork is and what it's made from. She needs to submit those to the Royal Institute to see if it's going to be accepted for an exhibition. Ideally, she wants this to be backlit. Now, to do that, it's going to involve having a custom-made light box. Now, that sort of thing isn't cheap, and until she knows whether or not it is going to be accepted by the Royal Institute, that kind of investment needs to be sort of put to one side for the time being. Now, ideally, I guess you might think this should be done in a studio. Well, maybe, maybe not. When you do studio work, you still often spend a huge amount of time messing around, cobbling together structures and dangling things from the ceiling and finding ways to light appropriately. So I'm going to go along to her house and just see what we can do. You know how I love a bit of low-tech guerrilla photography. My thoughts are maybe a window, maybe a doorway. All we need to do is to find a place where the light is different on one side to the other. So hopefully you'll come and join me. I now need to go and get my bags packed, make sure all the kit's ready to go. See you there.
Okay, it's in here on the back of the door. This is where I've been working on it.
Wow.
It's, I originally wanted this to be a long lantern, and I made it so that it was flexible because I wanted it cylindrical, so the light was from within it, because the whole point is to make the water reflective and you feel like you can swim through it, like this fish going through the middle here, which is the central point. Everything's plastic on here. That's a shopping bag from a boutique. This is netting from holding various things like nuts and fruits. This one down here is a squeezy lemon bottle.
Oh, I know the things. Yeah, why can't people just buy a lemon?
Yeah, a lemon, exactly.
Yeah.
And that implicates, so this shows a puffer fish, say, for instance. This is Ferrero Rocher throwaway sweetie wrappers, which have made shells. These are cotton wool buds, which are these little sort of textures here. I've made a bubble wrap jellyfish. These are also nettings, and I made seahorses from them.
I like this bubble wrap fish you got here.
Wrap fish,
That's brilliant. So
everything's plastic or nylon, something that's not degradable.
I can completely see why it would work as a lantern, because with light coming through all this translucent plastic.
Yeah.
So I know you said you'd got a light box.
I have got a light box. If you want, I can show you.
Yeah,
how
come
it
on.
looks.
Let's put the light box up.
Yes.
And have a little.
You to help to hold this out while I put the light.
This is fun. I'm enjoying this. What a cool thing. I don't want to break your light box. This is going to come to life. What you guys are seeing is kind of at an angle, and you know, it's all a bit flat, and you know. But I think when this gets light behind it, it will come to life. So if I hold, can you hold it?
I'll hold it.
And light it, because otherwise no one's going to... I think you can see that already. Wow, look at that, guys.
So if I hold it right up close...
Whoop, hang on, I'm falling over things in your room. Let me just move that.
You see, you've only got a small area lit, but the further back I go...
I'm going to see if I can hold it. Go on, you move back a bit with the light.
Go back further...
Oh look, you can see that so clearly in the... Come in again. You get this hot spot in the middle, which is not so good.
But it's more dramatic if the whole thing is it, and that's why I think the whole piece needs to be shown rather just a section of it. These
edges, these top edges, even when you move back, can you move back again, please, Helen?
Sure.
Hold it in a minute. Even these top edges, when you move back, you see they're not quite. The lighting isn't even. It's not quite consistent. So we need to find a way to try and get around that.
Yes.
And I think our problem is that light box is just
too small.
It's an incy bit small. Let's try a low-tech solution, because I'm a big fan of low-tech, as I'm sure anyone who watches my YouTube channel will already know. I do love a bit of low-tech because I am lazy. Oh.
That's all right.
You sure?
Yeah.
Don't want you in the Royal Academy coming after me with big sticks because I've damaged it. But what I'm thinking, I'll swap places because you're little.
Yeah.
They won't be able to see you. So.
Yeah, so the idea is that I want to enter it into the Royal Academy for the summer show. And they have asked that it would be lit evenly so that they can see all aspects of the artwork.
You also mentioned, so we need all aspects of the arsework.
Arsework?
Arsework. You do lovely arsework.
Rubbish.
It's awesome arsework. I don't know if you guys could sort that out. Unfortunately, I think you did. Yeah, I get it. So we do some little details. They can actually see what these things are made of. Maybe with these things and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
My first thought would be to use a window. However, your windows are the little, I don't know what it's called, square pane. Georgian square panes.
Georgian square pane.
Georgian square pane. Hello, my name's Georgian Square Pane.
Nice to meet you. No? And we don't want grid lines across it, do we?
No. Shall we see if we can find something in the garden?
Shall we have a look?
Yeah, because if there's a way, all we've got to do is to find a way where we're photographing from a darker side.
Yeah.
Let's go and have a poke around in the garden. I'll see if I can find a little
light.
With a bit of natural light.
Nothing like natural light.
Nothing like natural light. Right. Okay.
Okay.
We'll see you guys in the garden. I'm going to have to wobble you as I switch you off. Okay, so the shed is a possibility.
Yes.
However,
it's a bit small.
It's a bit small. It's getting far enough back. These are all things you guys have to think about too. If you're going to do something like this, it's a bit small, but they will be darker in the shed than it is out here. So the light coming this way, cat.
It's not small like the cat.
Not small like the cat. What about your pergola, your thing?
Well, I've had to rig up my washing line across there because it snapped. So we could use the washing line.
Yeah.
We could pin it onto the washing line, but we need to move all of this out first.
Yeah, so if that is worth a go. You've got a gate in the back.
Yes.
Let me go and get the guys, because I'm going to wobble them, and then they can have a look. Sorry guys, I'm going to wobble you. Here we go. Let's just put that there. Make sure you're looking in the right place. Yeah, you're a bit wonky. Let's de-wonk you a bit. There we go, look. So we've got... Yeah, so we can hang it on there.
Yes.
Weight it at the bottom to hold it fairly straight. We've then got a nice big even light source, and if we need to go back a bit further we might be able to go out the gate.
Won't it be at an angle though? It needs to be face on, don't we?
Yeah, so if we can hang it
there, so you're straight on.
Yeah, because then it's almost, I reckon it'll be all right.
Shall we try it?
Shall we move things?
We'll move things.
Come on then. We've got to find a way to get this bottom edge kind of weighted, I think. You know?
Yeah.
We need to do something. Sorry, I didn't...
No, I'm just trying to peg.
Just a piece of wood. If we've got a piece of wood that will go across the bottom, and we could use some pegs. Yeah? Do you see what I mean? The weight of it will just hold it straight and flat.
I'll get some sellotape.
We could use nails.
Nails?
Here we go. Let me just see what happens if I film a bit with this little video camera. Look, I think you can see already from back here, when I'm filming through here, you see how that is all starting to come to life, isn't it? It's all starting to look pretty good. If that can focus, should be. Yeah, look at that. Now you can really see what that is and what an amazing piece of artwork that is. Now what about the stuff that's around the edges? Do we need that? Well no, but you know, we just have to crop it out. It doesn't matter about the house. What we do need to do is to make sure that this bottom edge along here is nice and flat and straight, and that's why I'm looking at doing something with a piece of wood. See what we can do with that. Camera time. What sort of settings are you going to need for this? Come on, you know how to do this. You know how to think. Cameras don't take pictures. You guys take pictures. So, what sort of settings do we need? Well, first off, let's get the camera in the right place. It wants to be roughly in the middle. So, look, if it's from down here and you're looking up like that, what's happening? Look at those edges. You see how they're bending in? It just looks horrible, doesn't it? It's not working at all. So what we've got to do is raise the camera up and tilt it and try and get it nicely lined up. So let's find the place where that works. I'm going to come back because the further back we are, the better. I think I need to be about here. We're getting closer. I'm going to move you guys again. Sorry about this. We have no camera person, so I've got to kind of make this up as I go along. There's a gate behind me here. I wonder if I can just open that. It'll give me just that little bit more space. I know I'm cropped off. Don't dislike the video just because I'm cropped off. Look, you see? So we're kind of down here now. You see the environment we're moving around in, where we're working? Now, that's still not quite high enough, so let's take the camera up a little more. And I know some of you are going to be saying, well, why don't you just do it in a proper studio? Well, I used to have a proper studio, but I got rid of it. And also, the reason I'm showing you this is I want you to show you, as you know, I'm not a big fan of high tech. Why do you need high tech? There's loads of available stuff going on out here naturally in the world. So now let's zoom that lens in a bit. I'm just going to move this around and make it line up. Look. So we are somewhere around here. Then it's just a case of finding the exposure. Now, I'm not going to crop right in because I want space around this so that there is room that we can crop out the background. That is pretty straight. So that's not bad. Helen's just doing some final tweaks. I think I need to take the camera down a bit. One day I'll remember to tighten it up on the tripod, but hey. Okay, so it's not hanging perfectly straight, parallel, according to my artificial horizon, but does that matter? Well, no, not at all. Why? Because we just crop it, we just turn it, you know. It's not hanging straight on the line, but that doesn't really matter because, you know, we're tilting the camera to make it work. So there we go. I think the camera's kind of ready. Now we've got to do is think about settings, isn't it? What do we need on the camera? Well, we don't need much, do we? Do we need lots of depth of field? Well, no, we don't, do we? Because, let's face it, there is no depth of field. There's a little bit within the textures of the artwork, but that's about all. So, I'm going to choose F8, focused. There we go. F8's pretty good. What kind of ISO do we need? Well, we don't want it to be grainy, do we? We want nice fine reproduction, and we already know this is going to get cropped a bit. So, we want to keep the ISO down, and then if we do need to crop it, it'll all be dandy. That's good. Let's do a test shot. So, we've got plenty of space around our subject. That's just gorgeous. Where would we want this exposure to be? Where would our histogram want to be? Now everybody says histogram goes up in the middle, that's accurate. Is it? Is it? What have we got here? Yeah, it is roughly mid-grey, but there's also lots of dark tones. I would suggest shooting to the right. Let's brighten the whole thing up a little bit so we can see all the details in those little colours. We're shooting raw, we're going to pop it into Lightroom, and we're just going to kind of clean it up a little bit there. Of course you've got to get it right in camera, because if you haven't got a good original, it's useless. If you ever shot on film and tried to get a good print out of a badly exposed negative, the print was awful. It's exactly the same with digital. So, I think we're good there. What about white balance? Well, I'm going to shoot with ordinary 5600 Kelvin preset. That is going to be my white balance, and I will shoot a white balance reference so that, you know, we got something in Lightroom to check. Ah, not quite ready yet. Okay, so I've got my grey card, which I'm going to put in front of it so that I have got my white balance. Excuse the cramped environment. Actually, Helen.
Yes.
That is the shutter button.
Yeah.
Could you just come and press it for me, please? Don't worry about the wire for the minute.
Which shutter button?
That one.
Just press it down.
Yep. Right, and once again. Good. That means we've got our white balance using the card, and then we've got a reference. Yes, I know this isn't the best cinematography in the world, but you know, there we go. Okay, that's all looking good. The exposure's looking good. The histogram is nice and bright. That's looking really good. So let's just focus. We're good. We're on F8, we got 2.6 seconds. Did you hear that? Click, click. And then we have it. I'm going to take the exposure down just a tiny bit, just to cover my options. There we go. I'm going to go a hint darker as well. So I'm taking the histogram from far right, tons of detail in the shadows, to kind of back a bit and then into the middle. And now I've got everything covered. I think we've got that nailed personally. Helen?
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to seeing the photos, but you know, it does look really watery and lifelike,
Yeah.
And it's exactly what I wanted. It feels like an ocean. It looks I just feel like I can swim into that. What about you?
Yeah, I think it looks really good. But also the next stage is I'm going to stick this into Lightroom, make my handprints, you know, develop my raw file. I know exactly what colour it will be because I know that is grey. Yeah, if you do this and you're using all sorts of auto white balances, it can mess up the colour. I've done that. I know what colour grey and white is. So if I tell Lightroom this is grey or white, it will get the colours right. So I'll see you guys back in the office and we're going to do a little bit of work just to get it looking pucker. Lunch?
Excellent.
Lunch?
Yes, I did promise you lunch. Thank you so much, Mike.
You're really welcome. I have to confess, I actually did the pictures last night because now it's today, which is actually tomorrow, if that makes sense. Because Helen needed the images quickly to get them off to the Royal Academy. Before I could film in here, I'd had to set up the camera and I didn't really want to, and I had to clean all the rubbish and mess out. I used to keep a pig on a string in the corner down here, use him as an air freshener. I didn't want any unpleasant grunting during the filming, so I had to pop him back in his pen. So let's have a look at what we've got, what we shot, and what I did. Here we go, here's our test shot. Here are my white balance shot with a grey card and with a white card. Here we go, here is my finished shot. This is what I have delivered to Helen. Helen is a graphic designer and an artist, so she knows all about Photoshop. She doesn't want it, she just wants lots of space around it, so she can crop it herself. She'll probably take out these clothes pegs and the little bits off the edge there with a bit of wood, you know, where we hung it to stretch it out and just get it looking nice and the way she wants it. What she wants from me is a good quality image file. So I also said let's do an exposure one down. Let me just make a virtual copy of that for you. Here we go, and I'm going to reset it so there are no settings on it at all, so you can see what I came back here with. Here we go, here's the first shot, 1/3 of a second f8. It's exactly the same as the test shot. There it is there, 1/3 of a second at f8. There's our histogram, it's filling in nicely. There's a little bit of clipping. Now look at that clipping. The red areas, look, they are virtually all in the house behind. These are things you've got to think about at the time of shooting. Oh, there's clipping in my histogram, but where is it applied to within the image? As long as it isn't clipping in the bit that's important to you, who gives a damn what's happening out there in the background? The house is not important. We then said let's go down a little bit. I want to move the histogram to the left. If you watch it as I click on the next image, there you go, the histograms took a step to the left. So I wanted to make sure there was always some detail in these dark blue areas. And if you don't do it at the time, as a little safety net, you're stuffed. And then I did one more down again. So there you go, you can see the exposures. We went 1/3 of a second, 1/5 of a second, 1/8 of a second, you see, and there we go, there we have it. So here is our unadulterated file. And there is very, very little work which we need to do to it. I'm coming at this cold. I'm not going to go back and check my settings from this one and try and copy what I did. I'm just going to do it because there's so little that was needed. Lightroom isn't where you fix things. Lightroom is where you bring your image to life. It's your digital darkroom. You've got to get it right in camera. You must get it right in camera. That exposure is bang on in the camera. You've got to do that. But the camera can't think for you, and your raw file will be developed by it. If you shoot JPEG, the camera has no idea which areas need to be a little bit brighter or darker. It can't think, you can. And that's why I strongly recommend using raw files and learning how to do it yourself. I use Lightroom. I think Lightroom is absolutely the dogs. It's brilliant. Anyway, here we go. What have I got to do to this? Well, the exposure is perfect anyway, so I don't need to touch that. Let's just take those highlights down. That's these bright areas. Now we want it pretty bright because, you know, what was Helen trying to recreate? Under the ocean, a tropical sea, a tropical blue sea with a coral reef. Let's just take those shadows up a bit. You see the difference? Look, you see all we're doing is waking up those little fishies. Come on, little fishies. Here we go. Somewhere around there, I think. But I want to keep this nice and bright and sparkly. So let's just check our whites and blacks. Again, let's hit the Alt key, have a look. See all those little blue sparkles? Those are in this canvas. I want those to stay there. I don't want to get rid of them. In fact, if anything, I might even brighten them up an eeny little bit. Let's have a look. Yeah, I prefer that. Because, think about it. You've all seen movies, you've all seen stuff under the ocean on a coral reef, and the water's bright and blue and there's little sparkles and beautifulness going on. And that is what those little tiny burnt highlights are. Don't get hung up on someone who's going, oh, you burnt a highlight. Let them nitpick. Get what you want. Get the feeling and the emotion you need. Right, okay. There we go, I'm happy with that. Blacks, we need to just make sure we've got a few little shadows, a little clump of shadow you see going on down here, and I think that's plenty. Now this area at the bottom is a little teeny bit too dark because we've got light coming in across the top here, it's coming over there, we've got a bit coming in around the sides, coming in around here, but it was closer to the ground. So there's less light coming in from underneath. Also, there's less light on the ground because, you know, the top we're coming in from the sky, and from the bottom you got the ground, which is absorbing some of it. So the bottom of this is a little tiny bit darker. To the human eye, doesn't look any different because your brain sort these things out for you. Cameras can't do it, you've got to do it yourself. So here we go. We're just going to lift this slightly darker area here and make it look the way my eyes saw it. So I'm going to use a grad filter. I'm just going to hold down the shift key, drag that up, make a gradation. Let's just ease that in. Now where is it changing? So that's the middle of our gradation, and it's sort of getting brighter, brighter, brighter. Somewhere here, isn't it? Somewhere through the dark fish. Maybe a little bit more gradation going on there, because here we are, it's somewhere there, I reckon. So what do we need to do? We just need to ease that up a bit. Look, we're just going to push a little bit more light in there. I'm just doing this by eye till it looks like it's about right. That's about right. I think I just might lift up those shadows. Here we go. Look, you see how that's kind of, we don't go too far, probably about there, and I might take the exposure down a bit actually. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Let's take that up a bit more. That's looking even and nice. I might just take the shadows up a tiny bit more, and I might just put a teeny bit of clarity in there, which would just help keep the punch there. I think that's looking pretty good overall. Now the histogram, you're seeing this burnt off area again. You see it's the house. We don't care about the house. If you really, you know, if you're not so experienced, then you can just kind of, you're doing a shoot like this, let's just crop it in so we're looking at the important bit and then watch. Funny, isn't it? There's nothing burning out anymore. In fact, if anything, look, this space on that histogram, we could even take the exposure up just a sneeze and really get that bright corally water. I think that's quite nice. I like it like that. I might put a tiny bit of clarity in there just to ease it up. I think I did that yesterday. We'll compare it in a minute if you like. But there you go. There's our finished image. Oh, sharpening. Let's just have a little look. By default it does 40. It doesn't need any, I'm sure. No, you see it's all lovely and sharp. If anything, it's probably too sharp. I might back it off a little bit. Just mask it up while I'm here. That's just taking off any grain. I only shot it at 200 ISO, so there's very little grain indeed. Okay, let's just get back here to crop and reset that because I don't want to crop it. There we go. I'd say we're pretty good. Now the one thing I think I did forget was our white balance. Yes, that's still a shot. So white balance, I should have done it at the start. I forgot, doesn't matter. Here we go. You see I already did it yesterday. Look, 5,700. There we go, 5,700. All I need to do is copy my white balance and the process version. I like to keep that ticked and paste it into our image. Now it's going to be, watch, it'll hardly make any difference. It's such a tiny amount. You see, could you even see that? We're now at 5,700 instead of 5,500 there. But we know it's right. You'll notice I haven't fiddled about with colour temperatures. I haven't fiddled around with vibrancy or saturation. I want it to be what Helen made, not turn it into something. So there we go. There's our final little piece in there. Now I also shot some close-ups. just before we went off to the pub, Helen suddenly said, oh, I need some detail shots, because they need to see what is this actually made of. It's not, you know, they want to see it is actually made of rubbish, of discarded stuff, of pollutants and horribleness. So, you know, I just did a few of those. Just showing you the shots. I wish I'd filmed it, but I didn't. This video is long enough as it is, but you can just really see what's going on. Now, we did a couple using the light box, and this is the only reason I wish I'd filmed it, because I prefer natural light. Now look at these two. That was shot with the light box. Helen said, oh, should we try with the light box and see what happens? I'm always up for trying. You don't know if you don't go. So this was shot with a light box, and yeah, it's picked up the eyes, but I think the whole thing looks like it's got a light box in it. It looks weird and unnatural. You see, if we go back to this one, there's no light box. This is just a lovely, beautiful soft light just wrapping itself around that piece of tarpaulin, that amazing bit of artwork. We just flick between them again for you, I think. I don't know, you choose. Which one do you prefer? Leave me a comment below. Do you prefer the one with a light box or without? I much prefer the one without. But that's just me. We did a little close-up of this little prawny fishy thing flying through the air. Isn't that cool? What an incredible skill it is. What an amazing thing to be able to make stuff like this out of rubbish. I have no idea how to do that. And you artists, I salute you, because you are wonderful. Here's our plastic yellow lemon fish. Why would you buy lemon in a plastic bottle? For goodness sake, are you so lazy you can't squeeze a lemon? It's amazing what the human race do these days. Myself included, we all do it. We all do it. The human race leaves a filthy footprint, and it's up to each and every single one of us to reuse plastic bags, to not buy plastic lemons, you know, to minimise that impact. We can't help leaving an impact. It's us, you know. We can't do it. We can't live our lives without doing it. But come on, guys, let's just minimise it. The poor old place is struggling. If you've got kids, they're the ones that are going to suffer. Anyway, lecture over. This one is another one with some light. Now look, you see there's catch lights on this plastic here from the light box. Personally, I don't like it. I much prefer this, the flatter look. I prefer that you don't have light coming up from the bottom of the ocean. So those are the shots. There we go. That's what we did. That's how it all worked. I hope you found it enjoyable and in some way useful. Please leave me some comments below. If you want to learn how to do this sort of stuff, you want to learn Lightroom and how to use it and not be confused by it, just shoving sliders around all over the place hoping for a good one. That's not the way to go. You need to plan it. Little subtle changes make a big difference. Big sweeping things usually lead to an overdone picture which looks horrible. Have a look at my 7 steps to perfect pictures, because that will take you through the whole thing one step at a time. Please like, share, subscribe. There's a newsletter thing popping out up the top there, because by supporting me you help me make some more free videos. Hope you found it useful. I hope you're well and happy. Go enjoy. See you later, guys. Take care of yourselves.